When last we left our heroes, they almost died. And why did they almost die? Because I threw one last big-ass orc at them, and it about slaughtered them. That's why I decided we were going to need some help, specifically in the form of a meat shield, because a bard and a wizard aren't so effective when the bard and the wizard are both primarily working on spellcasting. Except for the wizard who wants to do some fighting, but let's be honest, she's a wizard. My name's Patrick, and this is the Campaign Diary. The party was resting up after nearly dying in the last session and was getting ready to go exploring because there was still one young boy that was missing. And everybody in the village was looking to them because several villages had tried to explore down. Some have gone down to a lower level and immediately been bombarded with arrows flying at them. The others had gone into another area that the party has not gone, and none of them have returned. So, as the party is getting ready to move out and go hunt for that little boy, in walks this girl. She's probably 15, 16 years old. She's wearing scale mail. She's got a flail and a shield. And she starts asking, where's my brother? Have you seen my brother? It turns out that this is the older sister of our missing boy. Her name is Greta. The party will soon find out that she's a barbarian when she gets her rage on, but that isn't apparent, because she could just be your bug standard type fighter, just swing and smash stuff. But no, we're going to have a barbarian, because that's cooler than just a fighter with champion, because let's be honest, that's your standard meat shield when you need to stick a meat shield in front of your squishy players, because nobody decided to be not squishy. So very quickly, they returned to Area 8, which was the last place they'd explored. They moved their way through a door and up into Area 11. When they got in here, it looked like a temple area. There were some bones scattered around in piles. I wonder what that is. 3 of the villagers are laying in the middle, torn partially apart and very, very, very dead. And on the altar itself, 2 imposing metal figures holding scythes, looking badass, silently observing the scene. In between them, on the altar, a large glowing garnet. Large, glowing red, and as the party advances into the room, it got redder. That's when the skeletons that were disassembled and in pieces started reforming. The 3 villagers started animating and turning into zombies. So we have 3 zombies, skeletons forming, more skeletons forming. Immediately, Hetfield, our bard, has the sense to fire some Thunder Wave. It does damage to the zombies, and it scatters some of the bones around a little, but the bones continue to form. Because they're not formed, so you don't get to blow them to pieces. Yet. The operative term is yet. Greta, of course, finds out she is quite effective against the skeletons. They fight the zombies, spend some magic, and defeat them. Alina, upon defeating them, decides to take her wizard ass up to go grab the gem. Unfortunately, when she goes up to grab the gem, those metal-looking Deathbringers with scythe decide to start attacking. These are essentially animated statues, which are not too dangerous, except that they're harder than hell to hit. So the party still managed to down them, but poor Hetfield keeps burning up his spells pretty quick. After they defeated the scythe-wielding statues, they pop the gem out, and it's a garnet. It's worth 200 gold pieces, and Hetfield, for some reason, stabs it in the neck. I don't know why. So, they are now given a choice to head north or to head south. The northern door looks nice and solidly barred. The southern one looks like it's been half torn off their hinges. And a little voice says, "Go north." Sounded like mine for some reason. It must have been the voice in their head. They head north, and upon entering, they discover this is an armory. There's a lot of stuff in here. A lot of it older, nothing of high value, except Alina's eyes are drawn immediately to the sword on the pedestal. The sword appears to have a hilt that was made of a dragon tooth. It has an intricate carving of a dragon going onto the blade and the guard, and it looks really awesome. Now, I think I forgot to tell her exactly what the weapon was. She knew it was magic and it had a bonus. It's a +1 bonus, so nothing special. However, this is a Dragonbane sword. This dragon slaying sword will do a +3 when attacking a dragon, and it will do an extra 3d6 damage if she hits. So yeah, this one's designed to hurt dragons. And what was the title of this entire campaign? Oh yeah, Dragons of Adraeon. I wonder what's going to happen with that sword. So, after getting the awesome loot that I left for my wizard who wants to be a fighter for some reason, they proceed south through the busted up door. They find the last villager being gnawed on by a couple ghouls. They tear into the ghouls, and because she's already taken plenty of beating, Greta goes down like a sack of taters. So they have to heal her, and they manage to drag on with very weakly. They're kind of torn up. These priests appear to be... They're wearing priest robes. Now, with the symbolism on the altar in the prior room and these robes, it's pretty obvious that this was a temple to Kirkrab, who is the god of death in my world. He's also known as the Unsleeping Walker. In other words, how shall I say this? In another sense, you could say that he is also the patron of the Walking Dead. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, look at the name. So the party's looking a little more beat up than I thought they were. So they come to the last room, and they find a figure in prayer. It's a ghast, but it looks like it's got the high priest robes on it. Luckily, there are no other ghouls in this room because the party is beaten up, and I didn't want to kill them before they fought the big bad. They burned some serious magic on this guy and killed him before he could even move. Poof, he's dead. They'd also spotted a reddish glow from the door behind him. When they got in there, they found another garnet, more prying, more stabbing. The garnets seemed to lose all their magic once they were pried, so yay, no more undead probably. Except if there's something else. So the only place they hadn't explored was that bottom area where they'd run some traps. Hetfield, being our trap expert in addition to the bard, goes down and can't quite figure out the trap. Now, I'm thinking it might have been that I didn't explain the corridor very well. You go down the stairs and immediately you get into a very, very wide hallway. Shooting out of this hallway are arrows. Anytime you stepped on the pressure plate that's between the staircase and the door, arrows start shooting out. Big, meaty 2d6 damage arrows. Hetfield, after failing to figure a device, tries to get through the door, finds out it's locked. He then decides to pick it, while arrows are shooting. The first 3 or 4 times arrows shoot past him, he keeps trying to pick. He fails the pick, and as he's failing, I roll for about the 4th or 5th set of arrows shot. One side hits him, and the other side crits, and drops most of his hit points out. Seeing that he really needs help, Greta reaches in and grabs him and drags him out. I'm still running the character, so saved you ass. So now that he's seen how it's worked, I let him have another roll to try to disarm the trap. He's able to disarm it this time rather than dying. Once they get through the door, they notice a couple things. Well, actually, they notice to the right, they notice 3 things. 2 skeletons and a scraggly-looking human that appears to be somewhat of a necromancer. To the right is 4 more skeletons. At this point, I think Hetfield had maybe 1 or 2 spells left. He does the right thing and blasts the skeletons over on the right with some good old thunder wave, and they go flying. Meanwhile, Greta takes the ones on the left, and Alina unleashes the witch bolt on the poor necromancer. Eventually, he's reduced to screaming and dying. So while this is going on, they start hearing screams from the wall on their left. There's no visible door here. In fact, if you look at the map, it's a secret door, so they begin to finish off the others, Hetfield mainly, As soon as Greta's free of the 4 skeletons she's fighting, she bolts and tries to open the door. Can't find a door. Hetfield and Alina, meanwhile, dispatch the rest of the skeletons, and Alina burns the necromancer down with Witch Bolt. Off they go, running at full speed. Hetfield finds the door, and they get in there to find an ochre jelly crawling up towards the boy. Greta immediately runs and starts hacking into it. Alina decides to fire off Chromatic Orb. She has a choice of any energy type she can choose. She chooses electricity. Now, there are 2 things that the yellow ochre has immunity to. It has immunity to slashing damage and lightning damage. And when you hit it with lightning damage, if it has more than 10 hit points, it splits into 2 smaller versions of itself.
Oops.
It fairly quickly blasts Greta into unconsciousness again. Alina runs over to fight it. Hetfield runs over to fight it. Alina goes down. However, we had to do some retconning because when Hetfield realized that when Lars realized that Hetfield was going to go down and we were going to get TPK'd, he suddenly remembered he had Bardic Inspiration. Specifically, the College of Lore's Cutting Words, which allowed him to reduce the damage taken, which kept Alina on her feet, which meant nobody died. They fought on and managed to drop the yellow ochres, 2 of them, which were a lot weaker. So once they were dead, they were able to rescue the boy, happy, joy, XP, waffles, and all that. So now, Alina and Hetfield have gone to level 4, and Greta gets her primal path. Specifically, she's going with Path of the Totem Warrior. This allows her to draw upon the Spirit of the Wolf, which somehow Hetfield still doesn't have, even though he had one before we started in this dungeon. I'm going to have to retcon again, and the wolf was waiting for them outside or something because it didn't want to enter the crypts. But between him and Greta, I think we're going to keep that wolf in the party a little bit more. So that ends their adventures in this dungeon. Now the party has nothing to stop them from getting to the Sunless Citadel, which is where I've been trying to get them and expect them to get next time. Now, an interesting thing about the next time we play is that my players will be both coming to Ohio. So we're going to do this at the table, old school, rather than trying to do this crap over Skype. So if you're enjoying this story, hop on down below. You know where to click, like, subscribe, share, all the stuff that everybody asks you to do. I just forget because I barely remember my own name.
Hat.
But like, share, subscribe, tell everybody about it. If you have any comments or suggestions or cool things you think you'd like to see in the campaign, I could probably work about anything in. As always, check out the comments below. I left the link to the map down below because Dyson Logos produces awesome maps, and they're fun, and they're beautiful. Next time we're going to be into classic D&D maps, so let's see what happens there. Or maybe not. Maybe I'll go with something completely different. Either way, until next time, be excellent to each other.